Still waiting for a big smile out of you. You're up 2-0. What's the story? Are you not happy, or you're only half happy, or?
Still to be happy about.
You're up 2-0.
Job's not finished. Job finished? I don't think so.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Rick's Blazin Takes. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you here with me. I appreciate that. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? It's Rick Blaze coming at you live and direct. Another episode of Rick's Blazin Takes. Give you the ins and outs to what's happening in SimWorld. And before we get started, no, Marsh will not be on today's pod. He started receiving a little fan mail to my crib, and I didn't appreciate it. So thank you, Marsh, for your time. But yeah, thank you, Marsh, for your time. All right, so today I want to talk about matchups. Race to 1 is coming up, baby. We're just a few days away from getting this party started, and I am so excited. But I want to talk about matchups, because they're important. Anybody who's ever played anything competitive, whether it's any type of sport or anything competitive, video games, for example, it's all about matchups, right? You know that you may be good at one thing and you may be the best at something, but it's always like some person that's not really good as everybody else, but for some reason they give you a hard time, right? It's all about matchups. This is all the time. I'm gonna do an analogy of video games. I love playing Street Fighter. And so Street Fighter was a very good video game, and there were some people that was really tough to beat. You know, matchups was tough. Like I like Chun-Li was really, I can beat probably anybody with Chun-Li. I know that sounds weird, but I'm telling you, Chun-Li is the truth. That chick there, I can beat anybody with Chun-Li. But what happens was I realized once people start picking Chun-Li, I couldn't pick Chun-Li. I picked somebody else. So I figured out a matchup that's tough for Chun-Li, a matchup that's tough for people like Chun-Li, Vega, Bison, M. Bison. And if you don't ever play Street Fighter, you probably have no idea what I'm saying right now. Just hold on. And I realized that my man Guile was the best matchup for those aerial people, those fighters who like to be in the air a lot and doing aerial moves. Guile was the best matchup because he can catch him in the air, do like a backbreaker, or he can do the jackknife leg kick in the air to catch him in the air. So I say all that to say it's about matchups. And there's two teams on this race to 1 that I do not like their matchup at all. And they are in trouble from my perspective because their matchup is not something that's going to really go well for them. They just happen to be in the same conference. But I was just looking at, overall the bracket, and there's two teams. First of all, the first team's Southeast Select. You're in the matchup problem. Playing against Lone Star, you're in a matchup problem. They are a team that plays similar to you. Yes, they've been struggling. They limped their way to the playoffs. But let's not forget what they were. They haven't lost any players. They've had a coaching change. So I'm sure that's had there's something to that. But they haven't lost any of the players. They literally play the same way you play. Except they have interior defense too. And Southeast Select is not great at the interior. They're great on the perimeter, defensively, and on the wing. But in the interior, they're just okay. This is a matchup problem. If Lone Star can get out of their funk, if Lone Star can play regular Lone Star basketball, this is a serious matchup problem for Southeast Select. Buyer beware for Southeast Select. Another matchup problem is Best Coast versus APAC. Not only is Best Coast versus APAC a problem, APAC has like 3 or 4 guys who can create and get their own shots, and they're shooters. You got from Reyes to Kanubi to Soto. These guys can get their own buckets. Each guy that I just mentioned is capable of putting up 20 points. And then the big fellas play pretty decent inside as well. That's a matchup problem for them. That is a matchup problem for Best Coast, who comes in at the number 2 seed. APAC has a really, really, really good chance of taking that win from them. That is a matchup situation that I don't think Best Coast want to find themselves in. Matchup problem. So before I leave, talking about video games and my favorite, I just want to know my favorite video games since I started with that, fighting games, not RPGs, just strictly fighting combat games. 1 versus 1 type games. Has to be my top 3. Has to be in no particular order. Street Fighter, Soul Calibur. If you guys haven't played Soul Calibur, you're missing. And then the Marvel versus Capcom. Those three of me are goated. Street Fighter 2, right? Soul Calibur and the Marvel versus Capcom. Put it in the chat. Let's have some fun. Put in the chat. Tell me what's your favorite fighting games that you play. Any system, any year, your favorite fighting games that you rock with. Not the RPGs, not the ninja, not the what's they called? Ninja Assassin? No, Assassin's Creed. Not the Assassin's Creed type. No, those are kind of more a little bit over just a 1 versus 1 or 2 versus 1 type thing. Tell me who you have as your top games. I see you guys. Hey, yeah.